Hello, students. Today, we're going to talk about something very, very important: democratic rights. We'll try to understand what these rights are, and maybe more importantly, what would life actually be like without them? Just think about this for a moment. Imagine you are arrested, but nobody gives you a reason. Imagine you are punished for something, but you never get a chance to have a fair trial. How would that make you feel? It would be very frightening, no? Your whole sense of safety, it would just disappear. Well, to stop exactly these kinds of things from happening, to prevent power from being misused, that is why democracies give us rights. You can think of them like a shield that protects us from injustice and helps make sure that everyone is treated fairly. So to really understand how essential these rights are, we are going to look at 3 real-world examples. We'll see what a world without rights can look like, starting with the prison in Guantanamo Bay. Then we'll look at the lack of freedom in Saudi Arabia and the terrible ethnic violence in Kosovo. After that, we'll connect it all back to what democracy promises us. All right, let's begin with our first case study. This takes us to a prison located in Guantanamo Bay. This is an area near Cuba, which is controlled by the American Navy. So what happened was, after the major terror attacks in New York on September 11th, 2001, U.S. forces secretly picked up about 600 people. These people were from all over the world, and they were all put into this one prison in Guantanamo Bay. You know, the impact this had on families, it was just huge. Just listen to this. It's from a letter written by a 9-year-old boy, Anas Jamil Elbana. He asks, "Why is my dad in prison? Why is he far away in that Guantanamo Bay? I miss my dad so much. I have not seen my dad for 3 years." That simple question, it really shows you the pain and confusion that families were feeling. So what exactly was so unjust about the situation? Well, for one thing, the governments of the prisoners' home countries, they weren't even informed. The families often only found out by seeing it in the media. And most importantly, no trial was held. The prisoners had no way to go to a court in their own country and challenge what was happening. Even representatives from the United Nations were not allowed to meet them. Naturally, this got a lot of attention from around the world. Human rights groups like Amnesty International reported that prisoners were being tortured, and in ways that were violating even the laws of the United States. It became so serious that the Secretary General of the UN himself said that the prison should be closed down. Okay, let's move to our second example. This one is different. Here, we are not talking about foreign prisoners, but about the rights of citizens living inside their own country. We're talking about Saudi Arabia. You see, in Saudi Arabia, the entire system of government limits many of the rights we think of as normal in a democracy. It's ruled by a hereditary king, which means the people have no role in choosing their rulers. Citizens cannot form political parties. The media is not free to report anything that the monarch might dislike. There is no freedom of religion, only Islam can be practiced in public, and women especially are subjected to many restrictions. And to give you a very clear example of how this affects daily life, in legal matters, the testimony of just one man is considered to have the same value as the testimony of 2 women. This shows how a lack of rights is not just a rule, but something that is woven into the society itself. Our third and final case is, well, it's a very tragic one. It comes from a place called Kosovo, and this story shows what can happen when a leader, even a democratically elected one, turns against a minority group within their own country. I want you to listen carefully to these words from a survivor, a woman named Batisha Hoxha. She said, "They shot Izzet 3 times in the chest. The soldiers pulled the wedding ring off her finger and told her to get out. I was not even outside the gate when they burned the house." This is the brutal reality of what happens when people have absolutely no rights to protect them. So, what was the situation here? Kosovo was a province in a country then called Yugoslavia. In the whole country, the Serbs were the majority. But in the province of Kosovo, ethnic Albanians were the majority. A Serb nationalist leader, Slobodan Milosevic, he won the election. His government was extremely hostile to the Albanians in Kosovo, and he wanted to establish Serb dominance over them. And here is the most shocking part. The massacre, the violence, it was carried out by the army of their own country. The soldiers who were supposed to protect all citizens became the attackers, all under the orders of their own elected leader. The very institution that should have guaranteed their safety became the source of their terror.
Okay, so after looking at these three very different and very difficult examples, let's now try to tie it all together. Let's talk about the promise that a democracy makes to its people through the guarantee of rights. So what is the one common lesson we can learn from Guantanamo Bay, from Saudi Arabia, and from Kosovo? It's this. In the absence of rights, when people are left without protection, it leaves them vulnerable. A government or any other powerful group can harm individuals, and there are no consequences to stop them.
So, what exactly are these rights we keep talking about? Simply put, rights are reasonable claims that a person can make. They are not just wishes. They are claims that society agrees are fair, and, very importantly, they are sanctioned by law. Their main job is to protect all of us from injustice.
And how do democracies make sure these rights are real? Well, there is a system. It starts with the supreme law of the land, which we call a constitution. And inside this constitution, a special set of fundamental rights are written down. But that's not enough. To make sure these rights are followed, there is an independent judiciary, courts and judges who are separate from the government, whose only job is to protect and enforce these rights for everyone.
And so, this is why democratic rights matter so much. They are the guarantee for our security. They are the foundation of our dignity as human beings, and they are the promise of fairness for every single person in a society. And that brings me to a final thought for you to reflect on. Having these rights written down in a book is one thing, but making sure that they are a reality for everyone, every single day, is a continuous task. So the question for all of us is this: how can we ensure that the rights guaranteed in our own society are truly protected for every single person,